All right. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to this evening UETV plenary. And we're very excited about this one because we are continuing today's theme of let's do something. And I couldn't think of a better example than our two speakers today who are here to talk about Ubuntu, the spirit of Ubuntu from Africa to the world. It's Pato, Banton, and Antoinette, Rootsdawtah. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to this. Oh, we got the sound coming in twice. I'm just going to keep going till they fix it. We're very excited about this one. Pato, Banton, and Antoinette, Rootsdawtah are here for an inspiring conversation. Sorry, just bear with me. Our two speakers today who are here to talk about. It's coming through YouTube. My apologies. So that was live streaming out. We fixed it now. Pato and Antoinette are here to talk about the spirit of Ubuntu. They're doing the most amazing work around the world. Ubuntu is based on the African philosophy of I am because we are. And together we're going to share stories from these amazing journeys across Africa, lessons learned from working alongside community leaders, and how Ubuntu is helping to build bridges across cultures, generations, and faith traditions. Pato and Antoinette, it's so great to have you here in World Unity Week. I'm going to say a few words about both of you, but first, let me say welcome back. It's wonderful. You're such incredible members of this global family, and you're doing the most inspiring work. And so we're truly honored, Antoinette and Pato, to have you here with us. Welcome. All right, so I'm going to say a few words. Minister Pato Banton is also a Grammy-nominated reggae legend that has recorded and toured the world with a whole bunch of household names, including Sting. Although his four-decade career has earned him a place in the British Music Hall of Fame and a BBC Lifetime Achievement Award for his tireless community work to reduce crime, his journey has increasingly transcended the music business into arenas of youth outreach, teaching in schools and colleges, writing new curriculum for children with learning disabilities, a global spiritual ministry, and of course now Ubuntu International, which we're going to be talking about today. Pato, together with Antoinette, have been the recipients of many, many different awards. The Goodwill Ambassador of the Golden Rule, the Unity Earth Keepers of the Flame, the United Religions Initiative have officially recognized them, as well as they are members of the Evolutionary Leaders Circle. I mean, the bio for Pato goes on for pages and pages and pages. So I'm just gonna just the headlines there. Antoinette Rootsdawtah Hall is an award-winning, world-renowned keyboardist in the reggae industry, global community organizer, and spiritual advocate devoted to the living philosophy of Ubuntu. Her life and work bridge music, spirituality, wellness, and social justice in service to collective healing. Antoinette's spiritual path deepened through her long-standing collaboration with Pato, who's also her husband, and they also recipient of all those amazing awards. We have watched Antoinette and Pato grow and grow and grow and grow, and their service ministry expand and deepen over the last 10 or 15 years. It's been incredible to witness, and to see the emergence now of what you're holding with Ubuntu from Africa to the world, this spirit of interconnectedness and everybody's value being equal and upholding those. I just love the work you're doing with orphans and widows and really on the ground. It's amazing. Guys, it's great to see you looking great, and it's amazing to have you here in World Unity Week. So I know we've got a lot to get through today, so let's kick it off. What is the meaning of Ubuntu? Who's going to, your opening remarks. Let's go to you, Antoinette, for your opening remarks.
I'm going to go ahead and let Pato go first.
Okay.
All right. So, what is Ubuntu? Okay. Well, firstly, I want to say hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us on this amazing World Unity Week, Chapter 7. And I'm just really happy to be here. And I want to say thank you.
Desmond Tutu and Nelson Mandela in South Africa, that was the way that they survived. A person is a person through another person, basically saying, I cannot exist without you, and you cannot exist without me. And we're stronger when we come together. So seeing as how people had to get through and survive during the times of apartheid, we realize it's like, what do you do when you have nothing? When the government isn't providing or something else isn't providing or whatever, the people, they had to rely on each other. They had to get back to the basic principles of humanity, of seeing everybody as their family, as their brother, as their sister. Nobody could move on unless everybody else was able to move on too. So, one of the things that I realize in today's society is that if we start looking at those principles again, that means everybody wins. Nobody has to be left out, and everybody can benefit together, in the spirit of Ubuntu.
Well, we've got a lot to get into. I have so many questions I want to ask about how it's impacted your own, journeys and philosophies and your own selves as we go into this story, because we know that whenever we embark on these great service adventures, that the one who ends up being transformed the most is ourselves. So I'm very interested to get into that with you guys. But we've got a video that we're going to play now, which is the Boab tree story video. And I think this one really captures sweetly the essence of Ubuntu. So let's go to the Boab tree story.
Baobab tree story.
Baobab. Thank you, Pato. Baobab.
Baobab. Baobab.
Baobab, baobab.
Saka zvada kuita panapa ndaona ndiyani kana kumhanya mese unogona aiwa ndiyani anogona kumhanya zviri fast chai chai simudzai maoko ani iwe unonzani iwe wona chinogona kumhanya kukura munhu wese panapa sure right anoti number 1 pakumhanya anopiwa basket rake egari 1 mabanana enyu maorange maapple saka tikutanga kubva panapa kumhanya kubva panapa svika kune muti uyo muombe uyu hanzi saka vese vanoda kumhanya vese vanozvitemba ndokuti muise line panapa yamirai muline so padhuze nepadhuze straight line saka nienda kutakura basket rangu iri ndanorisa uko pamwe mese kusvika hanzi anotanga kusvika ndiye anopiwa chii basket saka nienda kuenda ndakuwa notungamira
When you realize your family is all of humanity, that's Ubuntu. When you want more peace and unity in your community, that's Ubuntu. When you love and respect I have for you is the same you have for me. That's Ubuntu. So tell all the people near and far, I am because we are, and that's Ubuntu. Ubuntu. When we tell them, hey, the spirit of Ubuntu. The spirit of Ubuntu.
Yes, the spirit of Ubuntu captured there so beautifully.
Very beautiful.
Absolutely love that, Pato and Antoinette. And you see there that, the whole concept that we have of winners and losers, and, there's going to have to be a zero-sum game and someone's going to dominate someone else. And
Yes.
it totally changes that, doesn't it? It totally transforms that. The spirit of Ubuntu.
Yeah, it's
Pato,
amazing.
what is it? What do you take out of that? I mean, you've seen that video now probably many times, but what is it? What does it represent for you?
It represents to me a level of consideration for each other that we don't see often, in the Western world, where children, instead of competing against each other, are considerate of each other and are actually willing to sacrifice their competitive edge in considering of equity, of giving everyone a fair chance based on their level of abilities so that everyone can eat. Instead of one person taking everything, everybody shares together with a joint, united effort, to win together.
Yeah, beautiful, beautiful. I love that. And Antoinette, the power of storytelling, it really captures in the film, more than 1,000 words could say, really, the heart of the spirit of Ubuntu. What reflections do you have about what it tells us about African philosophy and culture?
Well, as you know, that we came back from doing a few shows this weekend, and there's something that kind of happens, from the 15 years I've been touring with Pato, is that he does the same thing. There's any time that he has like a dance contest, every time he does a performance, and he's like, all right, we're gonna have a dance contest, and whoever the best dancer wins. And all these kids will line up, be 10 kids, 20 kids, 30 kids, all line up. They'll all dance off and get their groove on. And then he's going to ask them who's the winner. And then each kid will sit there and say, and this is natural. It's like, it's amazing how you sit there and say, they're like, he goes, well, why do you think you won? And they all say, we're all winners. And they're
And I,
like,
I say, why? I say, you are all winners. You're a winner,
"Mhm,
you're a winner, you're a winner.
you're a
And then
winner,
I
you're a
ask, and
winner."
then I ask them, why do you think you are all winners?
And the
Carry on,
kids'
Antoinette.
response, and then this is so amazing. And the kids' response is because we all tried our best, because we were all dancing together. And then the cutest thing I really love, these two kids, and they got their Ubuntu shirts. They're like, because we're brothers and sisters. After we just played the song Brothers and Sisters, and he heard that from the song, and that was his response about being a winner. So now this kid is going to tell all these other kids that we're all winners because we're all brothers and sisters. They walk away with that. And
Yeah.
I've seen them do this for years that I've been touring with Pato. Like these kids that are growing up, it's like you'll see them next year, the year after, you'll see them when they're turning into adults, and they're practicing and exhibiting that same philosophy. So it's natural.
Well, it's so deep. It's so deep, and it's so current for like where we are right now. I'm fascinated, Pato and Antoinette. We've had the opportunity with you to travel to some pretty amazing parts of the world, and with some pretty amazing people, including indigenous people from Australia and North America and from Asia and different parts of the world. And it strikes me that the Ubuntu philosophy has a deep resonance with indigenous wisdom globally as well. And the other thing is, Pato, you grew up in the UK, and Antoinette, you had, also a very kind of opportunity to grow up in different cultures between, Asia and America. But does it make you wonder where our hyper individualized Western domination, gotta win at all costs, like there's a winner and everybody else, no second prize kind of mentality has come from? If all the indigenous cultures on the planet and all the African spiritual cultural tradition of Ubuntu, which is so beautiful and so in tune with nature and community, it's so rich. Does it make you wonder where our Western domination, cult of individuality actually comes from.
You mean like the where did I got mines, now you get yours mentality come from?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I will say this. We did take the film to 21 countries maybe a year or two ago. And every time that we took the film to a different country and met different individuals, it was amazing when we spoke with the people. In Hawaii, they call it aloha. You know, when you come into certain indigenous cultures, they all have a name for this. This is not something that's new, you know, or
Bonjour.
strictly African. Everybody has their own name or terminology for this spirit of humanity that it comes from. I think when people think about indigenous wisdom or original roots and stuff, we're just kind of getting back to our basic principles of what is humanity really. So through progression and through technology, I think we've always studied this in the Urantia book. I think Pato says the more material you get is a bit more less spiritual you get. But if you stay grounded and focused, everybody can always come back to those same humanity and basic principles.
I think it's a part of human nature, you know, to be selfish, to be in survival mode. You know, Antoinette says the philosophy of the West is I got mine, now you got yours. But in my experience, the philosophy of the West is I've got mine, now I want yours. So, you know, the indigenous peoples are more in touch with Mother Nature. The indigenous peoples are more in touch with their spiritual roots, is what I found. And they seem to be more grounded in these realities of connection with the earth, of connection with each other. And they have these traditions from many, many years. And as Antoinette says, you know, when we travel the world, we find them everywhere. You know, we find them in Namaste, the God in me sees a God in you. We find them in the good news, you know, that we're all God's children, brothers and sisters. We find them in the golden rule, treat others the way you want to be treated. So this is a global reality. But even with all of these concepts, and even with all these people around the world culturally having these concepts, the living of these concepts is very rare. And I've spoken to thousands of people, maybe hundreds of thousands of people from stage, asking them how they feel about the golden rule, and everybody lifts their hands up. And then when I ask them, how many of you are really living it at the moment, only a few hands go up. And I ask them, how many of you really would love to live this concept? Everybody's hands go back up again. So it's something that we know, but the living of it, with the daily grind of life, we're trying to survive with competition of the world. It's a very hard reality to make a daily part of your life unless you make a concerted effort to be in touch with your higher self, with your altruistic nature, and with God. You know, whatever name you want to give your highest concept of reality. You know, if we're not in touch with that, you know, then it's very hard for us to be in alignment with that.
Yeah. Beautifully expressed, Pato and Antoinette. I love everything you guys just shared about that. And there's a whole sense now of we as the world need to return to these values and these concepts. People often phrase it as going back to indigenous wisdom, or but as you just rightly phrased there, I think, Pato, it shows up in all the different wisdom traditions, including the ethics of religion, spirituality, the religions of revelation, all the way back to these original cultures that are tens of thousands, maybe even hundreds of thousands of years old. Which what you're doing with Ubuntu is bringing that out and highlighting that as it's a great space and it's a great place for people to meet this ethics and this philosophy and this spiritual concept. So
And
just absolutely.
I remember once, Ben, a long time ago, when we first traveled together, you said to me you were very intrigued with the Rasta concept of I and I.
Yes.
And now I reflect on what we're doing with Ubuntu. It's so in alignment Because in the Rastafarian philosophy, it's not me and you. It's not I and you.
Yeah.
You know, it's not even we. It's I and I. So they recognize the opposite person as themselves.
Yes.
And that
Yes.
goes in harmony where Jesus says, love your neighbor as yourself. It's amazing.
It is amazing. It is amazing. It's taken me 15 years to get my head around that, but I think I'm getting there now. That's great, Pato. That's very helpful. But again, it does, what it does is it shows us how far we've fallen into the I, you know, I alone, just me, you know, my ego, my reality, my success, you know, and my image, and so the I, you know, we have a global virus of selfishness, and I think that what we're talking about here is something like an antidote to that, or something that can help us transcend that, as you just said, that tendency towards materialism and selfishness and ego glorification. Wow, we're seeing it on the world stage and kind of writ large in so many ways and examples right now. And hopefully, my hope is that we're coming to a point where that is seen through for the false way that it is, that it doesn't lead to happiness, that it doesn't lead to growth, that it doesn't lead to fulfillment, that it's a false path. And, you know, maybe with these very exaggerated, colorful examples we see on the world stage right now in our political reality, can help humanity see through the illusion of the ego way and return to Ubuntu and return to I and I and return to I am because we are, and I am because of the great I am, as you so beautifully said earlier, Pato. This is powerful stuff. Now, there's a music video. I think our friends at Hubcast, we're going to play the music video that we didn't play before. So the Spirit of Ubuntu music video, if we could get that. We've just been talking about the arts and how important the arts are and culture is in being able to communicate and to collaborate, connect, and organize globally. So let's have a little bit of music with the Spirit of Ubuntu music video. Just as they cue that up.
In Africa, there is something known as Ubuntu. I am because we are. We come together today to renew the ties that make us one. Beyond tribe, beyond community, beyond nation, even beyond the continent.
Naam, ni wakati wa moyo wa Ubuntu kugusa watu wote wa dunia, kwa sababu tu watoto wa Mungu mmoja, jamii moja. Amina.
When you realize your family is all of humanity, that's Ubuntu. Ubuntu. When you want more peace and unity in your community, that's Ubuntu. Ubuntu. When the love and respect I have for you is the same you have for me, that's Ubuntu. So tell all the people near and far, I am because we are, and that's Ubuntu. Ubuntu. When we tell them, hey, the Spirit of Ubuntu. It's just that we have life, you know. The Spirit of Ubuntu. Yeah, man. Ubuntu to the world. You see, this life is like a school. We gotta learn to live the golden rule. Treating our brothers and our sisters how we want to be treated too. Ooh, when I say namaste, the God in me sees the God in you. Jesus said we are all your children and told us to go and spread the good news right now. Ubuntu is incredible, exceptional and ethical, mystical and spiritual, theoretical and practical. In times like this so critical, we need a higher principle to make compassion mutual, make respect reciprocal. war is unacceptable. Our blessings will be plentiful. Life will be so wonderful. All for one and one for all. People, can you hear the call? It's time to tell the world about Ubuntu. When you realize your family, it's all of humanity. That's Ubuntu. Ubuntu. When you want more peace and unity, hey, in your community, that's Ubuntu. Ubuntu. When the love and respect I have for you is the same you have for me, that's Ubuntu. So tell all the people near and far, I am because we are, and that's Ubuntu. Ubuntu. We sing again. Hey, the spirit of Ubuntu. Yeah, man. Hey, the spirit of Ubuntu. Go on.
Naam, ni wakati wa moyo wa utu, Ubuntu, kuwaguza watu wote wa dunia, kwa sababu sote tu watoto wa Mungu mmoja, jamii moja. Amen.
That's amazing. That's amazing. That's amazing seeing all those different communities and different people and different parts of Africa, different projects represented in that very cool music video. I wonder, Antoinette, I have a question just, from your own journey. There's nothing like experience, right? I mean, the power of the experience that you've had over the last, 5, 6 years in particular on this journey, meeting those people on the ground, meeting all those women and children and the different groups and the different initiatives and philosophies. How has it helped transform you as in your own kind of philosophical journey, spiritual journey, journey as a leader? How has contact with these communities and with these ideas and with these projects and with these incredibly heroic people, what impact has it had on you, sister?
I would say it kind of saved my life. Not a lot of people know this, but 5 years ago, I was diagnosed with breast cancer. And so when Pato said, do you want to go to Africa or do you want to stay here and try to, figure this out in, hospital surgeries and treatments and things like that, I'm like, well, if I'm going to live, I'm going to go out with a bang and I'm going to do it in Africa. And I kind of had it in my mind that that was going to be my last hurrah, so I was like, well, let me just go out with a big bang, 10 African countries and shoot this documentary. But what ended up happening was it saved my life. The learning about the people, all the different things, it was like there was so much wisdom. And then the whole service aspect, because it's like the more you give is the more you receive. The more that I started to put out was the more that I started getting back of life. I learned so much from the women. I learned so much from the guys. I just learned so much by just landing on the motherland. It's like people have no idea how much you can learn about anything being on the continent, the original continent of Africa. It's like it's got the answers to everything. The sustainability, to love, to freedom, to family. It's like all the things that you find missing in life and stuff. And it's like, what are we crying and complaining about here in America or anybody else in the world? It's like, literally, what are we crying and complaining about? You go to Africa, it's like they find joy in everything. They find joy in each other. They find joy in the simplest of things. And that brings you groundedness. And I think anybody, and it's like people go there just to heal. Every time that I go to Africa, I feel healed more and more and more. Not just mentally, physically, and spiritually. Physically, I would say a lot more because I noticed when I was suffering through those hot flashes, I really feel it as soon as I come back into America. As soon as I get into American airspace, I don't know what they're doing to our water, our air, our food, but my whole body just gets all jacked up when I'm here. And I love going to Africa because my body feels so good. You know, it feels healthy. It's like it's organic. It's life. It's like it's life. And when you have that much life from the food, the spirit, the people, and everything else, you know you could just go on longer and longer. So I just feel blessed. Every time I go, I'm blessed. You got to go. That's how it's changed my life. And I'm still
Could feel it.
here 5 years later. No
Yeah.
surgery, no chemo, no radiation. I'm just like, I'm just living off of the spirit of Ubuntu.
Wow, we can feel the spirit of the motherland coming through you, Antoinette, as you speak. Amazing. And Pato, you've been reading the Urantia book for a long, long, long time. And when we go and have these encounters with these experiences, I know in my own journey, connecting with indigenous wisdom, there's some things that I've seen and experienced which, kind of don't necessarily fit easily into any box. You could call them non-local, you could call them mystical, connection to trees and rocks and rivers and things that, aren't really kind of spoken about in the Urantia book. I wonder, encountering some of these shamanic depth of these traditions, which go back tens of thousands of years. Has there been anything which is, or expanded or challenged or in some ways kind of added to maybe your own, student of your ancient book in your own spiritual journey, having these experiences? How has it transformed and expanded your own spiritual journey?
That's a great question. I've never really been asked that before, but for me personally, because Antoinette, I'm traveling the world with Antoinette, and Antoinette just grabs everything that if somebody's worshiping a tree, Antoinette goes and worships the tree. If somebody's worshiping a stone, Antoinette wants a stone to bring home so she can put it in her collection. Whatever the indigenous tribes are doing, if somebody says that bird is talking, Antoinette goes and talks to the bird, and she looks at everything as a sign. So for me
Yeah.
personally, what harmonizes everything together is really human faith. If you believe in something enough, it will transform you and it will change your environment too. And I think it's beautiful that people honor the trees and people honor the water and people honor the earth and people honor the animals. All of that is worthy of sustainability, environmental sustainability. It's much better to honor the ground you're walking on than to dishonor it.
Yeah.
It's much better to honor the trees in your environment than to just see them as a resource that you can just abuse when you want. So I embrace all cultures. I embrace everything that I can learn from these elders, with this knowledge as a black man grown up in England, now living in America. I've been separated from my own indigenous roots.
Yeah.
I was told that I came from Jamaica, and when I went to Jamaica, I was told I came from Africa. And even the Jamaicans are disconnected from their African roots, even though they've created their own beautiful society. So for me, I feel it's almost like, I also didn't grow up with a father. So when I meet father figures, I embrace them as my own. And when I meet indigenous cultures that resonate with me on a roots level, I also embrace them too. So I respect everybody's culture. I also respect everybody's beliefs. You don't have to believe how I believe. We don't have to share the same belief. And that's one of the things that it says in the Urantia book. What is more important than intellectual conformity is spiritual unity. So if you believe in love, then we're brothers. If you believe that everyone is a part of equal part of the universe, then we are family, because I share those beliefs. Those are the beliefs that Jesus taught. So I think it's all beautiful and it's all good when we can maintain an open mind and recognize that on the deepest level, we are all spiritual beings having a human experience in our own unique, diverse cultural ways.
Amen.
You
Amen
know,
to that.
I want to answer that too, because you know how I reconciled with that, you know, as a Urantia book student. I was like, all right, well, how does this fit in? So when I was in South Africa, we went to go visit where Credo Mutwa, who was a shaman. So Credo Mutwa was a great shaman who talked about the women were the only people that the women were respected as the greatest generals, and they also talked about they were the ones who could like mine minerals and stuff. And the reason why that they only the women could mine from the earth was because the women respected the earth, you
Right.
know, and they felt like only they could be respectful of the earth and understand. And so what I've learned was they said heal the mother earth, and you heal yourself. So I listened to another shaman named Shaman Durek. He said, talk to the trees, talk to the birds. He said they are of God. The trees are of God. The birds are of God. The water is God. The crystals that hold. And if you're science, you know that information is stored in this. These are living. So anything that is living and is being created, that all comes from God, the source. You know, so we have first, second, and third source and center. So it all fits directly in with my own spiritual teachings and beliefs.
Yeah.
I'm just
Amazing.
having a bit of a problem talking to the trees still, but I'm working on it.
Because I
Well,
know I introduced him
I'm
to this
I'm
woman to
hugging the
make the
trees.
truth come to her, right?
I'm hugging the trees.
we have some courses. We have some courses that might help you, Pato. There are people that can help you with that.
All
Now,
right.
one of the things, and you might know the actual passage in it, but one of the things that helped me harmonize is a good word, Pato. And by the way, it's such beautiful wisdom both of you shared in your responses there. I want to acknowledge that.
Thank you.
There's a part in the Urantia book where it says the center of every atom, the center of every beyond, like smaller than the atom, that the middle of the center of every piece of matter is paradise itself. And you know, and then getting your head around that, and so
Yes.
that
Yeah.
then it kind of says to me, hey, anything's possible, right?
Yeah.
Anything's possible, and that you spoke so powerfully about the power of faith and belief. It's a huge thing.
Well,
We could talk about
the
that. We have a whole program on that.
the the other thing, Ben, is the Urantia book teaches that the first source of all things is God. And if all things come from God, then all things are of God. So I can see that, as you're saying, within the atom. But not, I don't think that all things have the ability to communicate on a personality level, but we can definitely gain from feeling our connection with the God within every atom of everything. And that's my story, and I'm sticking to it until you get me some counseling.
Well, you know, I think it is resonant and harmonious with indigenous wisdom, which is dependent
Yes.
in the river and the trees and the mountain and the water. And I think you
Yes.
spoke so beautifully, both of you, about honoring and venerating these things rather than extracting and
That's right.
dominating. And it comes back to our philosophy is, you know, do I exist for my own benefit, or am I part of an interconnected fabric of reality where, you know, the honor of one is the honor of all, and the herd of one is
Oh,
the herd of all, and expanding that beyond the human family to include all of Mother Earth. It's exactly what Ubuntu is doing, and it's exactly what indigenous wisdom is pointing us towards. All
amen.
right, we have a graphic here that 7 pillars of Ubuntu. Let's check it out. Let's have a look, and maybe you'll talk us through this as we have a look at the 7 pillars of Ubuntu.
All right.
And cue that up. And you can maybe you can maybe start talking into them. Tell us about the 7 pillars of Ubuntu, guys.
All right. So, as you know, we work with a professor of theology from Nevada, our brother God Jameson, who is actually the main and only real sponsor of our trip to Africa in the first place to shoot.
That's a lot.
Yes.
29,
Huh?
29,
All right.
29.
All right. 29. And So this entire project is really his dream. And he met Desmond Tutu and Nelson Mandela in South Africa at the Parliament of World Religions many years ago. And it was Desmond Tutu and Nelson Mandela who primarily taught him about the spirit of Ubuntu. And he came back to America with this wisdom, but it took him many years before contemplating how could he practically do something that could affect a broad spectrum of people. And I had no idea he had been studying me and Antoinette for a long time. And he approached us and said, would you please be involved with this project? He let me know that he really trusted our wisdom and our integrity and wanted us to be responsible for going to 10 different countries across Africa and finding people who were delivering the spirit of Ubuntu in a practical, daily, living way. So after this trip, and after looking at all of the interviews we did, we looked at the key points that were almost fundamental to the practical delivery of Ubuntu from the lowest level to the highest level. And people can continue to expand on this. But these were the cohesive elements that we felt were necessary to a thriving community in the spirit of Ubuntu. So number one, we have education. Because we have to educate the people for them to know about the following elements. If people are uneducated, they cannot use the tools of life. And then secondly was healthcare. If people are not healthy, it doesn't matter how much they know, they can't do anything, you know? So we are promoting healthcare, physical health, mental health, and now we've moved over to psychosocial health, emotional health. Then number three is music and the arts, which you know brings people together and is a great form of expression and healing for many people as well. And then we have the environment, caring for the environment, agriculture, horticulture, permaculture, you know, animal husbandry, you know, farming, all of these things provide food and provide, you know, the eco-friendly necessities of our life, you know. Then we have play. What's all of this if we can't have some fun, if we can't laugh together, you know? And also with play comes exercise, which is also a part of health, you know? And so we try to encourage people to have fun, to exercise, and to include some form of sports into your activity as a community. Then we have justice. In another word for justice we know is fairness, social fairness, you know, economic fairness, relationship fairness in every avenue. In one of the major issues that we found in Africa is that there is a very unconscious dominance of men over women. It's just a part of the culture. And it's also a part, with no disrespect, it's also a part of Paul's philosophy in the New Testament was that women were under men. Even though we know from the Urantia book that Jesus promoted the equality of men and women, Paul's philosophy was that slaves, obey your masters, and women, obey your husbands. And this has caused a great inequality in many situations when the perpetrators use the scriptures to support their dominance, whether it's over a race or over an individual. So we're trying to promote more equality and more equity through justice and through the spirit of Ubuntu. And last but not least is our deepest passion, which is spirituality and wisdom. and promoting that everyone's spirituality is honored and respected and even celebrated, and that through wisdom we can learn to live in harmony with God and be a tool for God to heal in this world.
Beautiful, beautiful. Wow, that's thank you for taking us back to God Jameson there too, Pato, and talk about holding this vision for 20 years since he had that encounter with
Yes.
Desmond Tutu. That's a really powerful origin story of this project, and love those 7 pillars. Antoinette, was there anything there you wanted to embellish or add to, or to really
No,
point out?
I'm gonna go ahead. He covered everything what he said, so we could go ahead and move on.
I
All
would
right.
just say on Antoinette's behalf that one of her biggest passions is women's empowerment.
We're gonna get
Yes.
into that.
All right.
We are. We are. We're going to get into it in a minute. We're going to be looking at the projects that you're currently doing, and remembering our theme today is let's do something. So we're going to be
Yes.
showcasing what you're doing, which is amazing. But I love those pillars. I love the depth of thinking and thought that's gone into them. Even to the point of identifying some of the inflection points through history that maybe have been responsible for what we've ended up with in the current situation. It's not about going back and blaming historical figures
No,
necessarily, but it's about understanding how we got here,
understanding. That's right.
understanding how we got here, overstanding, right? How we got here, but then so that we can correct it collectively. Really powerful. Now there are 5 major hubs too, and we're gonna bring that up now. The 5 major hubs of Ubuntu. So who's going to speak into this one?
I'll let Antoinette go.
All right,
All right.
Antoinette, take it away.
So we started building with we decided we wanted to create 5 major hubs that exhibited all 7 different pillars.
Can
So
they
the
make that
first,
bigger? Sorry. Can they just?
Is there a way, I know the team are working with the
All right.
size of
Zimbabwe, because and they're actually in the documentary. So we were deciding on which ones were going to be the major hubs spread across Africa to kind of set like a template for everybody else to see what they could follow. If we set up a template in each country with a major hub that exhibited the 7 different pillars, then people would be able to kind of learn and study and be able to follow or recreate or even join forces with, because we always believe in partnership with organizations. So we created Ubuntu Village in Zimbabwe and so far it started with 1 school. Now there's 4 schools in Zimbabwe, and now we're working on a resurrection as a hall for Zimbabwe. They're doing a lot of amazing different things. We also have Ubuntu Village Uganda, which is Grace Villa in Kabale. They are getting a brand new resource center for these girls. These 35 girls is also Ruth from Grace Villa. She takes care of over 200 something girls in
300.
Kabale. 300. It grows every time. It grows every time. Because what she's doing, she's not only like paying school fees, but she's also mentoring, giving education, teaching them dance arts, sustaining skills. There's nothing else like that in Uganda. She's the only one. So it's like when you see these girls coming out of Grace Villa, they are exemplary, 10 stars, 10 out of a 10, for the Ubuntu Village in Uganda. Then we also have Ubuntu Village in Kenya, led by Anne Okello, a sustainable innovations. Now, this woman, she's just really incredible. It's not even like she's just doing one thing with one school. She's working with widows. She's working with schools. She's working with sustainable innovations. I mean, when you check out her YouTube channel, you can learn how to do anything from grafting mangoes to, how do we sit there and take care of ourselves? And what was powerful about her story is that she felt she needed to have an education. Too many of these girls are getting married off for a chicken or a cow or for something, and they're in these abusive relationships, and she's like, just give me an opportunity, just give me a chance. So she's very passionate about lifting up young women and children and widows.
I want to give one
But
quick example of the work that Anna Kello does in Kenya. She has a group of widows. You know the cactus plant, Ben?
Yeah,
She
yeah,
has
yeah.
she has a group of widows that grow cactus plants, and
Sisal.
they call it sisal over there. And
Okay.
they shred this plant, and they get fibers from it that they use then to make fiber to make baskets and
Ropes.
rope and all kinds of table mats and all kinds of things. So we went over there and we met them, and I asked them, what is one thing that, what is your main need? What is one thing that you would really like to have? And they said, our hands are blistered from making this sisal fabric. If we could get a machine, then we could just feed the plant into the machine, and then it would give us the fiber at the other end, and we could work 10 times faster. So we came back, raised the funds, bought them a machine, and then within a month, they had a sustainable business. And then the local men went to take the machine from the woman because they
Right.
saw the profits that the women were making. And then
Yeah.
Anne Okello went and got the woman together and fought to get back the machine. And now the women are they've got back the machine. They are doing amazing work. And now they're looking at acquiring a second machine. So that's just one of like 100 stories of a small thing that has become successful for an entire community.
Yes.
Huge,
And
Those
they,
were,
and they started out as 10 women, and I think there's 60 women now.
no,
I love
Pato,
that.
there's like 150 women now.
You're right,
They're
you're
all
right, you're right.
every
They
time we
came they came out
go,
to greet us the other day.
Oh my God.
they double, they triple, they
Yes.
quadruple. Every time we go, we just see more and more because they went from making a certain amount to doubling their funds. That's why she always looks at the business aspect of things. She's like, all right, let's take an idea. Now, how are we going to make some money from this and start
And make
sustaining our communities?
sustain. All right,
That's
carry on,
exactly.
Antoinette. Sorry for
All right.
interrupting.
It's
And
okay.
that was out of Kenya, right? And what I loved about, showing these hubs is all the different countries. Now, this might be sort of a simple thing for a lot of people, but people growing up in America or in England or Australia may not know just how diverse the African continent is. So we think of Africa. Oh, they're from Africa. They're African American. We think of it as like one place. There's like 54 countries, right, in the continent, and they're all different. And there are many, many different, even within the countries, there are different cultures and subcultures
Yes.
and indigenous people and different language and dialects. I mean, it is a tapestry of diversity. And you guys
Three
with
three
Ubuntu,
thousand 3,000
3,000 different
languages.
languages. So you're in South Sudan, you're in Cameroon, you're in Uganda, you're in Kenya, you're in all these different spaces and places and contexts. It's amazing. It's really, really amazing the connection that you've got to the people on the ground in so many different spaces and places in Africa.
And
So
then the
those are the
last,
two latest. Those are the two newest hubs, is
Yeah,
Cameroon.
yeah.
With Francoise. I can't pronounce her last name. I don't want to
don't even try.
butcher it. But anyway, she's from the URI. When we were doing a URI event down in Mexico, me and her became like this, she was all over me, and me and her just became besties. And that whole week, Francoise comes up next, Cameroon is one of the latest, newest hubs, and now South Sudan is the latest hub of the five
Amazing.
major hubs. So
In the
we
middle of
are
a war
bringing that
zone.
Ubuntu spirit. The guy who was asking that question inside of the chat, how are we going to bring peace in South Sudan? Watch the ride with our new Ubuntu hub in South Sudan. It's coming.
And I just want to say something about that. Because I hear a lot of people talking about bringing peace to certain regions.
Ooh, please.
And it's very difficult to bring peace to a region where there is a dominant factor that is only intentions is war. But what we can do is bring a little more peace. We can bring some peace. I'm not trying to say that we can go into a region and bring peace, but we can bring peace and a better quality of living for some of the people while they're going through the transitions of war.
And the other thing we have to remember, they weren't in war before. Let's get down to the root cause. It's like, why is there war in Sudan and in the Congo? Because of the resources. So if people really want to have peace for these people, they got to think about why is there war going on? Because of the things that we're using, because of our electric cars, because of our smartphones, because of our laptops, because of our ways to sit there and build more data centers and the chips and everything else like that. Because
Right.
all of those minerals and all those resources and everything that's being taken out of Africa is causing that destabilization in Africa. So it's really hard to ask people in Africa to be peaceful when they're putting in the guns. Where are the guns coming from? There's no gun factory in
There's
Africa.
nobody
These
making
guns are
guns.
being imported there. The millions and billions that's being invested in there. Look at every single Western deal that's going into Africa. What is behind any one of those deals? And what is causing that destabilization? So
And
I
the
ask
worst thing is,
people to
go
get
on, babe.
educated. Get educated and start to get to the root cause of what is happening. You want to see peace? Find out who's bringing in the war, and start with them.
I remember the first time I went to South Africa, I went to Soweto to do a music workshop for the poorest community in Soweto. And when I got to Soweto, there was a gold mine. Are you hearing me, Ben?
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
There
yeah.
was a gold mine in the poorest community in Africa. And when I said to them, who does this gold mine belong to? They said the apartheid regime sold it to China.
I know.
And it's the same thing in every war zone in Africa. There is
Yeah.
some Western country involved in it, and the local people are poor, hungry, and dying from bullets that are getting sprayed in their direction to keep them away from the resources that belong to them. Anyway,
94% of the land and the wealth in South Africa does not belong to the South African people. And
Yeah.
that's why we've seen the violence that was so horrifying, because the people are in a desperation. If they have no chance of ownership, then how do they expect to be able to thrive and to be able to progress? So when we lost Desmond Tutu and Mandela, there was nobody else to pick up the pieces of righting the wrongs that had happened. You
Yeah.
know,
Well, it's important to be truth telling. It's part of the education pillar, really. And there's probably a lot more that could be said about the current state of where the gold is going. Through Quadro Spiri, we got involved a little bit in the Ghana experience of the illegal gold mining that was destroying
yes,
waterways and polluting,
yes,
terribly destructive to the environment of certain very fragile ecosystems. And there was an international response to that, and at some point, as far as I understand, that was at least decreased the illegal gold mining for now. But in terms of the geopolitics of it, Pato and Antoinette, I think it's fascinating. We could probably do a whole program on it. I remember when we went to the African Union in Addis Ababa, this magnificent, brand new, sparkling jewel of Africa that was entirely funded and paid for by the People's Republic of China. And you're asking why would they do that? And there's sometimes you got to be careful, because there could be some benefit in the infrastructure and the investments,
yes,
and they're doing things, they're building roads and waterways and other things, and we want to get educated, and I think that's part of what you're calling for, is for people to be more aware of what's going on there, and the various interests that are at play in the development
yes.
of Africa. All right, well, look, let's get into what you're doing, because this is really the heart of it. So I think, Antoinette, you've got a bit of a presentation for us to take us through
all
what you're
right,
up to. Let's get into it. Let's do something.
all right.
Ubuntu, Africa
I'm
to
gonna
the world.
try
You
and
guys are amazing.
I'm going to try and do this quickly. All right. So there's a couple things that the first one is women's empowerment. So we created this women's empowerment that involves like the 5 different countries and adding some other countries, where we're empowering the women to be able to be self-sustainable. One, this covers the economic justice part. Two, also teaching the women permaculture sustainability, so that way when in Naki Valley, when they had lost the US aid, a lot of them were complaining or were it was hard for them because they were saying we're hungry, and when they've lost that US aid that was coming in there, that few dollars, I was like, well, if we start growing some food, then now you're going from one meal a day to now she can go back into her garden and eat all the time, so the women's empowerment includes like sewing, permaculture. This here is Alina. She is now the African coordinator for Ubuntu International. She's the one who's coordinating all of the women together. Not all the women, but just all the women in Uganda, but she's also doing a double role of coordinating all of the 5 major hubs. Here we have, this is Emanuela from Naki Valley. So we trained her in how to make reusable pads, and then we sent her back again over to Grace Villa to learn how to do tailoring. And now look at her joy, because now she's like so happy right now, because before she didn't think that she had any kind of life or anything, but now she's turning into a leader and starting to lead her own organization. From there, we also introduced the Tell Somebody, which is a women's empowerment. This woman that we have in America, she wrote this book on sexual violence that happened to her, and how can we prevent that for the young girls and women that are happening all around the world. So on Women's Day, they actually did a march down the street where they actually talked about Tell Somebody, women's empowerment, letting the women know that their bodies are divine. All right, here we have the permaculture section. This is what we call the Ubuntu Trinity. I call them our Trinity permaculture team. Bilia, she's a permaculture teacher. Tahuti, he's into permaculture and also a certified herbalist. And then there's Ann Okello. The 3 of them, plus all of us coming together, we created the Ubuntu Green Army. This is some of the members of the Ubuntu Green Army. They're all kids. They're out at schools. So what they do is, this is Sean. He's a young gentleman here. He's just amazing. What they do is they teach the kids the Ubuntu principles and permaculture. And we started with 1 school, set up 4, 5 more schools after that, going into a school within 1 day, teaching them how to grow their own food and to be sustainable. These kids now are growing their own food. They're paying for their own school fees. They're paying for their own uniforms. They're teaching their parents how to grow food. And now each one of the kids, their families are going back. Then the widows got wind of it, and they're like, wait, these kids are making money. So now the widows are paired up with the kids, and they're now growing. We sent the Ubuntu Green Army Trinity team down into Uganda. And then we had like a permaculture training where we took like 10 different individuals from organizations all over Uganda to come and learn over at the Widows, where we were teaching permaculture training. All different kinds. If you want to know how to grow, all organic too, no GMO. And this is something that I feel is very important, that for people who are understanding what happens when help is being offered into Africa, there's a big issue of like GMO and Monsanto and other things. There's a lot of deals being made where a lot of money is being spent, where they're trying to make the farmers grow GMO and Monsanto seeds. But we grow everything without all organically. Then we get into the arts and the music. These are some of the kids from Naki Valley. I was like, look at the talent of these amazing children. They're doing arts. This is how they're surviving. This is helping them heal their own trauma, And I was like, wait a minute, this art is so amazing. What if we took their art and we started putting their art out there? This was an idea of self-sustainability. We presented this at the Mother Spirit Project at the Conscious Life Expo. And when people were so excited about the art and how it was rising up the divine feminine, we were able to sell one of these art pieces, from this woman named Katrina. And she had this wonderful idea if we started making prints. After we sold the art, we were able to share the money, because this is Ubuntu, back to the artists, help support the women's empowerment, and also to help the other artists. So that way nobody is being left out. Here's a piece that's done by this young boy named Moises. He is a refugee in Naki Valley Refugee Settlement. This was his second Stetchel piece. Look at him. He's only 10 years old. When I first met him, he was not even barely speaking English. We got him out of the refugee settlement, got him into another arts place. He's now going to school. He's speaking English, and he's also an amazing singer. When you hear these kids, they can also sing and do art. It's really incredible. Then we have the Ubuntu dancers. These are these kids out of Cabera. They've got so much talent. We brought like 3 different organizations together in order to do that Ubuntu spirit, and we call them the Ubuntu dancers. Let me see. How did I? All right. Did I? Oh, is it this button? And also in Cabera, chess, because we believe in art. And you know, chess, I don't know how we fit this into art, but these kids of Cabera, they finally made it all the way to the nationals, but because of funding, they weren't able to go all the way to compete. But this is one of the things that helps them in the largest slums in Kenya to do chess. Then we have the dancers. So now we created the Ubuntu dancers, part of the Mother Spirit Project, 3 organizations coming together as one. That means they're not just hitting one organization, they're going through all over Cabera. There's 2 million people living in the slums of Cabera. They are teaching them women's empowerment, how to stand up for themselves, how to tell somebody if someone's coming after them. We've got girls who are missing. Got girls who are showing up dead and their body parts gone and everything. These guys and these women and everybody coming together are there to lift up the women and the girls. Here's the art, stitching up Africa. That's why I'm saying it's all about the divine feminine. Now we have the Widows Project. So this Widows Project, Pato was so inspired by Wilbrod. This is Wilbrod. There's Pato. All right, let me see. They built 8 houses for these widows. If you saw what these people were living in, you could not, I mean, literally walking in there, you just want to run out of there so quick and so fast. It's not anything that any human being should have to ever live in. And each one of those homes, huh?
Can I interject just a second?
Please, go ahead.
There was a huge storm in Ibanda, Ben, and a lot of people lost their homes. A lot of people died. And we found one woman that was living in someone's shed, sleeping on the floor in a shed. And we built her a home. And then when we built her a home, we found 8 other widows who had lost their homes. And they all came out to meet me when we went to celebrate the first widow's home. And when I saw all of them, I just started crying. I was moved to tears. And I said, you know something, we're going to build you all a new home. And we're going to get you some land where you can grow food and you can all be together as a family. And this is the project. We finished the 8 homes. We're now building a resource center on the land. That's what that building is on the right. And they've got a lot of land beyond the houses. There's another 5 acres where they're growing food. And there's water on the land. There's a stream of fresh water that runs through the land. So they have fresh drinking water. And today we just signed the electricity contract to bring 5 poles to provide electricity for this new. And now there's also 14 of their grandchildren's running around on this land, and we're going to build
all those houses. The Ubuntu project built all those properties.
Yes.
This was actually my life savings mostly, and then we got some help from Ubuntu International. But I spent everything I had until I had nothing else, and now we're about to build the Ubuntu Learning Academy on another acre of land we just purchased next door to this, because there's no school for 2 hours walking distance. So
whereabouts is this? Just remind us again, where is this?
It's
Ibanda, Uganda.
It's in Ibanda, Uganda. And that building on the right also has 2 apartments. One of them is our home. The other one is the 2 guys that helped me build the 8 homes. I provided them with a home because they were homeless. And then in the middle of these 2 homes is a conference center, so that we can do teaching and hold meetings and have dinners with everybody in one big hall.
And resource center, because we realized that when we sent the 10 people to do permaculture training, they stayed like in town, but they could come there now. You know, it's like people, you know, around in the surrounding communities can learn, you know, some of the different things that we're teaching. There's Wilbrod, smile Wilbrod, you know, wonderful kid. He also won from an award from My Hero Project for making his first documentary on the widows. You know, this kid he's such a dear heart. I've made him my godson because
he was homeless. And he's a homeless Urantia book student. And when I met him, him and his brother told me about the first widow who was homeless, and I gave him the money to build her a house. And when he finished, I said, all right, let's build 8 homes. And now he is the one, him and his brother is responsible for this entire project.
I just want to take a moment, Antoinette, before we rush forward, just to let everybody really kind of catch up to what's happening here. You've found these people whose homes were destroyed in the storm, who had lost husbands, who were widows,
Yes.
and you have given all your money to build their houses again.
Yes.
And I just want all of us just to take a moment to absorb that, because we all have our challenges, we all have our difficulties and our day-to-day problems and struggles, but just to absorb the challenge in that and the level of service that you are living into there. This is profound.
Ben, I don't want you to give me any praises, because
It's not about you, Pato. It's not about you.
Let me finish. Because I did not intend to spend, I only intended to build one house. I'm not gonna tell you how much I spent, but when I promised to build the 8 houses, I spoke to a very wealthy man, and he promised to provide all the funds to make it happen. And then he asked me, and then when I told everyone, all right, go ahead, we're going to build it, he asked me about my political affiliation. And when I told him my feelings about his political advocate.
Was he American?
Yes, he was a
I thought he
millionaire.
was Australian.
He was a multimillionaire in America.
Oh,
And
who was the Australian guy then?
that was a different totally thing. They wanted to do a project, but this guy offered to provide all the funds to make this dream come true. And then when I told him I didn't really support his political advocate, he said to me he can't give me anything because I don't believe in his political beliefs. And then I had already promised all of these women that I would get them in a house. So then it became my responsibility to keep my word. But I did keep my word. So I guess some thanks is due, but
Well,
I
the reason
feel as though I was forced into it at the same time.
Thank you for spelling out the story, and we'll come back, Antoinette, to your
All
flow.
right.
But
And
I just
also
wanted to really, for everybody, for us, it's an opportunity to feel the level of service that's possible. I think that's an invitation. I think that's a gift.
Yes, it
I
is.
think that's a gift for us, just to feel the level of service that's possible. And didn't you say that this is a place you could live, Pato? Didn't I
because
see
he
a
hasn't
Facebook post?
built my house yet because we don't actually own a home. We're renters. We've been renting as long as we've lived, you know. So it's like if we don't ever get a home and we're too old to go into a 30-year mortgage. We don't have money to buy a house here in California.
Actually, Ben, one of the in that big building, one of the homes is for Will Broad and his brother.
Yeah.
Then there's a conference room in the middle of the building, and then the other home is for me and Antoinette. So we do have a home in Africa, thank God, but we don't have a home here in America.
Thank you for sharing that story. Thank you.
All right,
Thank
but
you.
we will. But that's
We
the
have a
good news.
motorhome.
We got a motor, but you know something? I got a mango tree that I planted in Ibanda. So if I get kicked out, if I become homeless in America, I got a home with a mango tree in Ibanda. All right.
We've only got a few minutes left.
All
We've only
right,
got
yeah.
a few minutes left.
All right, here we go. So back to the
By the way, you know who else didn't have a home?
Who?
Oh, come on. Had no place to lay
Oh,
his head.
Jesus.
that's right.
Jesus, that's right.
All right. So here's a picture of the widows. Look at her. There's Mary. Look at that smile on Mary's face. So Mary doesn't actually live there. She was the first widow's house that Pato had built for her. She just comes to visit, you know, her friends over there and everything. But, you know, these women are so happy. And I'm telling you, they was not that happy before.
No.
No, they was just happy, just of a promise. They was happy just from a promise. But now the reality after they moved in is like there's so much joy in all those children. All right. So the last part is the global partnership. So a few years ago, Pato and I were invited by Chief Phil Lane to sit in the eighth fire in Hidalgo. So we sit in the eighth fire in Hidalgo, and I get reached out to by Kona de Poa, Carmen from Kona de Poa. So she tells me to come down, because they want to do Ubuntu in Mexico. I'm like, okay, this is going to be interesting. So I come down and we do the summit, and I'm presenting Ubuntu to all the indigenous tribes there. This was a lot of fun. I mean, we had 100 spiritual leaders from around the world all coming together presenting their concepts. After we presented this concept, right then and there, I was like, we're laying down our own prophecy. This is what we're going to do as far as Ubuntu to the world. So after that, we end up organizing an Ubuntu festival in Mexico. She brought in even more religious leaders, indigenous leaders from around Mexico. I mean, they came from all parts. And together we signed an MOU, a method of understanding, about how we were going to partner and bring things together. And we actually brought 50 children out of the village, out of one of the neighboring towns, to come and plant trees, because that's part of our thing, is like our tree planting and sustainability and coming all across. And it was weird because one of them said they had a dream where they saw this partnership between Kenya and Mexico together. So that's just, anyway, that's just a little bit of like the tons of terabytes of pictures and videos that I actually
Good
have.
job, girl. Good job.
I try to do it all in there.
You're
Good
amazing,
job,
Antoinette. You're
girl. I know
amazing.
you've
There's a
got
lot.
hours of stuff.
There's a lot. So I'm going to
There's a
share
lot.
with you guys all of our links again, because like I said, we have our YouTube where we're telling all of our
Yeah.
stories. We have our Substack, which we're telling all these articles where you can get to know these people.
I think
We
Ben's
have
going to
our
share that.
website. Oh, yes,
We're going
please.
to get into it. No, and we've just got, look, Antoinette, you did such a beautiful job on just giving us the highlights, and you're such a great communicator. Thank you for that. We got a few minutes. We just had the gallery there. Let's see if there's one or two questions from the community here in the Zoom room. But people want to know how to get involved. They want to know how to support. They want to know how to donate. They want to know how to bless you so that you can bless others, and how we can stay connected. You are amazing, and you're showing the way of what's possible. You're inspiring not just everybody who's here on video, but those who are here off video, and everybody watching this live and on demand. So we love you, Pato and Antoinette, and we want to know how we can continue to support you and this incredible project. We have time for one or two questions. Does anybody want to jump in with a comment? We've had a lot of people love in
Anasuya.
the chat. Go ahead,
Hallelujah,
Anasuya.
Anasuya.
Anasuya, jump in there.
Hey people, I'm in the middle of the store, just so you know. I did not want to miss this conversation. I'm actually at the pharmacy picking up medicine. But anyway, I digress. So two things like I said. You talked about who's causing the war as the source of no peace. Just last week, America and the UAE promised and spent $100 million to send security, they call it, but it's military, to protect the mines. Not from the war going on there, but to protect the mines from the people themselves, to make sure that everything comes out of there, goes straight to America and the UAE. So let that sink in. Secondly, what Antoinette is doing with Mother Spirit for empowering women is so phenomenal. What she said today was just a drop of the miracles that are happening there, just a drop of the ocean of miracles. This woman needs to be praised. I thought that to her, and I'm so grateful to be working with her, and I'm looking forward to more workshops with her students, especially the art students, because Lord knows she needs every help she can get, because she's amazing. If she had just one more arm and one more leg, I can't tell you how many thousands more she would reach. So let's be that other arm and leg, people. Let's give them the money to do more good work, and also to put some more money in pocket. Love you.
Yes.
Love you.
Blessings, Anasuya.
I
Blessings.
love
Thank
you,
you.
Anasuya. And one thing you guys don't know, so even if you don't have money, Anasuya donates her time. So that's the reason why she knows what I do, because she shows up in my Zoom meetings with the women in Africa. We get together all the time. And I ask all my sisters, from around the world, I'm like, listen, if you have some words of wisdom, if you have some advice, if you have some comfort, if you have anything that you can offer to help these women, they will appreciate it gladly. Those women love Anasuya because before they couldn't speak, but when after you guys saw the last thing when I did that on Scott's show, all of those women were speaking. She's watched that transformation, and of being able to transform. So everybody can give something. If you can't give money, give time, give kindness, give a word, you know.
Beautiful. Well, time for one more. With Michael Coles. Okay, go ahead, Michael.
Hi, Michael.
Today, how you doing?
Good.
Antoinette, Pato. Blessings, blessings. Uh, I'd like to ask you to bring your space of when or how was it that you came to understand or to obtain the knowledge or feel the vibration of Ubuntu that set you on this beautiful journey that has benefited so many people.
Antoinette, you want to go? You want me to?
You go.
Well, I had no idea what Ubuntu was 3 years ago. It was God
5 years
James.
ago.
Was it so long now?
Yeah, but
All
I
right.
knew. He didn't know, but I knew.
I didn't know about it. God Jameson introduced me to the concept, and when I heard about it, I was like, wow, it's a beautiful philosophy. And he asked me if I would go and do the documentary, and I said I'd love to, and then we invited Antoinette, and then we invited 2 filmmakers from Zimbabwe, and the 4 of us went on the road, and filmed the documentary in 10 countries. Then it took us a year to edit it, and yeah, that's where the idea came from me. And since that time, it's become a full-time job. It is the way we live, and it is a part of our life. And I am now officially a part-time musician, but my life is dedicated to service in the spirit of Ubuntu.
I said that at the Parliament to World Religion that I was Ubuntu for life because I didn't understand how can anybody go and shoot a documentary and look at these people and just walk away from them. They're my family. They're my family now. I can't just move on and just do whatever and just let them just fend for themselves and everything. I've got to make sure they succeed. So I said Ubuntu for life. That's me, Ubuntu for life. And
Well,
Ubuntu to the world.
Pato and Antoinette, you came to Chiang Mai in 2012? Yeah, 2012. We had the U Day festival. And even back then, we were saying, well, what's the U in U Day? And we said, well, it's universal, it's unity. For some of us, it might be Urantia. But it's also Ubuntu.
Ubuntu.
And that was something that was there. So even before you knew what it was, you were catching the spirit of that long time ago. You guys are absolutely amazing. There's only one place for us to close, I think, which is with the dance remix. I know there's some people in here that are going to want to move. We got Gary Melkin, and we got Summer Joy, and Kristen Hoffman, and Omar Shah, and all these amazing
Oh
groovy
yeah.
people. So
Good
we're going to
people.
go to gallery. Let's play the dance remix of Ubuntu. Pato and Antoinette, we love you. Thank you for being here, and we look forward to continuing to connect with you. So the work that you're doing, thank you for your leadership. May you be healthy, and may this work continue to flourish and touch many people. Last word, Antoinette, for you.
Yeah, one last thing. So this guy just said he's followed me on Substack. Thank you so much. But for everybody else, when I created that Substack, it's free for everybody. But if you become a paid subscriber, 100% of that subscription goes towards our Ubuntu project. So please, if you can subscribe that $8 a month, if you can't do no major big donations or whatever something, that $8, trust me, the more people that gives that little $8 to that subscription, you'll get the news of what we're doing, and you're also supporting somebody at the same time. So think about becoming a paid subscriber. Look at our websites. You see everything there. We worked hard on them. None of us, Pato built the website, Ubuntu Uplifting Project. He had to learn how to build websites. I had to learn all kinds of crazy stuff that I've never done before. This is what happens once you know, want
And
to.
and if anyone is nervous about giving to a third party, in the upliftingubuntuproject.com, we have created a link directly to each organization so they can receive the funds without even going through us. And
Wow.
then there is a general donation link that will help Antoinette with her 16 partner organizations that she's currently helping. So you can go either route. But Ben, thank you again. What's the TV station guys called?
Hubcast.
Hubcast family, thank you. World Unity Week family, thank you. We love you and we appreciate this opportunity to share with everybody today.
And thank
And it's
you,
good
Ben.
to see you, Dan.
Yes, thank you, Ben. I'm telling you, since 2012, I had no idea that that was going to be the road that I was going to be going to. But all of that has given me the preparation and the training to be able to do this now. Thank you.
Well, in that spirit, I'd like to, invite you guys to come to Minneapolis in August. And, we're going to be there for this incredible sacred pilgrimage. It's going to be Black Sunday on the Sunday, the 8th and the 9th of August. So let's follow up with that. Let's get Stand Up for Justice on the streets of Minneapolis together with Black Sunday and We Rise as One and all the other Pathways to Peace and all the other One World and Compassion Games and Unity Earth and everybody else who's coming to Minneapolis. We would love you guys to be there. That would be amazing. So let's follow up on that. And now let's dance.
All right. When you realize your family is all of humanity, that's Ubuntu. You want more peace and unity, hey, in your community, that's Ubuntu. When the love and respect I have for you is the same you have for me, that's Ubuntu. So tell all the people near and far, I am because we are, and that's Ubuntu. When I tell them, hey, the spirit of Ubuntu. Yeah, man. Hey, the spirit of Ubuntu. Ubuntu to the world. You see, this life is like a school. We gotta learn to live the golden rule. Treating our brothers and our sisters how we want to be treated too. Ooh, when I say namaste, the God in me is the God in you. Jesus said we are all your children and told us to go and spread the good news right now. Ubuntu is incredible, exceptional and ethical, mystical and spiritual, theoretical and practical. In times like this so critical, we need a higher principle to make compassion mutual and make respect reciprocal. When peace becomes intentional and war is unacceptable, our blessings will be plentiful and life will be so wonderful. Half for one and one for all. People, can you hear the call? It's time to tell the world about Ubuntu. When you realize your family is all of humanity, that's Ubuntu. Ubuntu. When you want more peace and unity, hey, in your community, that's Ubuntu. Ubuntu. When the love and respect I have for you is the same you have for me, that's Ubuntu. So tell all the people near and far, I am because we are, and that's Ubuntu. Ubuntu now. When you tell them, hey, the spirit of Ubuntu. Thank you. Obrigado. Yeah.
Nice. Nice. Thank you, everyone.
Love
All
you
right,
guys.
that's a wrap. And the live stream